Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news this Thursday morning. And it talks about Kari Lake. Why didn't her lead over Democrat challenger in Arizona? So here it is. Arizona governor polling trends by TAF Guard Group. As of August 27th, Kari Lake was ahead of Katie Hobbs, 46.5 to 45.8. Well, recent polling of September 15th, that was about a week ago, shows Kari Lake opening up the lead even further. Kari Lake at 50%, while Katie Hobbs is at 45.6. That's a 3.7 point swing towards Kari Lake. More and more people are coming to the realization Kari Lake is the real deal. Kari Lake actually cares about the issues of the people of Arizona, and Kari Lake wants to solve many of these issues, which is impacting the people of the state of Arizona. And while of course, Katie Hobbs is too busy thinking of ways how she can enrich herself, her friends, her family, her cronies with the taxpayer money of Arizona, Kari Lake is actually laying out a plan for the thing. For a chance to hear from Kari Lake and register. This person is not afraid of questions. She's not afraid of transparency. Unlike Katie Hobbs, who has taken a position of, hey, I'm going to hide, I'm going to let the mainstream media carry the brunt of the work for me, I'm going to hope that they smear my opponent, I'm going to hope that the national media smears my opponent while I continue to stay in the shadows, so that way, when people go to the ballot box, they'll be like, oh yeah, Kari Lake is such a east, and they check the box for Katie Hobbs. Unfortunately for Katie Hobbs, I believe this is going to backfire, just like it backfired for Biden. However, in a few states, there were a lot of things taking place behind the scenes in the early evening hours where we know what took place anyway. So Kari Lake, I truly hope to the state of Arizona does the right thing and intellects Kari Lake as their next governor of the state of Arizona. So do you live in Arizona? Are you one of those individuals who are supporting Kari Lake? If you are, tell me why. And if you're not, if you're a Democrat watching this and you're like Katie Hobbs all the way, give me some points of why you think Katie Hobbs is the better candidate without having to result or fall back. Today is everything that I hate is just without doing that. And these people should be in charge of nothing. And of course, I'm speaking about these radical far-left ideologues, otherwise known as the squad of the Progressive Caucus within the House. You know, I very often call them communist revolutionaries. And some people think that's going too far. But no, that is exactly who and what they are. They are, in fact, revolutionaries, who are just not living in the real world. They are living in a fantasy land where problems can just go away with a snap of a finger. And just like the communists of old, they create this dichotomy as if it's good versus evil, them versus the rich elite in the rich corporations. It's a tactic of demonization, where they sell this idea that rich people and rich elites and of course, the corporations must be stopped. But really, in the end, it's all propaganda meant to manipulate you. And the clear truth of the matter is that these communist revolutionary types, these progressive leftists, don't have a single solution to a single problem. They're nothing but grifters, and this clip of Rashida Tlaib from a congressional hearing proves exactly what I'm talking about, a bunch of clueless individuals playing politics. And honestly, it's even go beyond that, acting like total Karens, pretending and LARPing to be activists on the House floor instead of practicing just a little bit of common sense. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. Is Rashida Tlaib suffers a meltdown when banking executives and oil executives don't agree to her demand of shutting down the oil industry. This absolute lunatic? Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We've got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright, folks. So the intro pretty much gives you the context. Let's take a look at leftist Queen Rashida Tlaib taking it to the major banking institutions. Yas Queen. A totally half-witted incompetent, if you ask me, coming into Congress with such an arrogant attitude, totally self-righteous, pretending as if she has the answers to everything, as if she knows everything, and acting like a total Karen when her intimidation tactic doesn't work in the process of grilling banking executives, invoking the spirit of cancelled culture. Will you commit to stop funding any new energy? Probably Jax. Absolutely not. That's the road to hell, the individual responds. And of course, a fuse instantly pops in her brain, right? Well, then maybe people should cancel their bank accounts with your bank. Oh, Lord, it's just so cringy. What are you doing? How is this a congressperson? I mean, just the sheer arrogance to be sitting in a room with all of these executives of top financial institutions, and to pretend like you're the smartest person in the room. I mean, you gotta be a special level of ignorant to be thinking this way and acting this way. These are individuals who climb to the top of the ladder in one of the most. We're talking about people at the highest levels of competence, and Rashida to leave just another dime. A dozen left-wing ideologues is actually sitting there having convinced herself that she's right, and everybody else is wrong, that she sees the real picture that everyone else doesn't. And that these banking executives are actually just evil capitalists who wants to destroy the planet for their gold, the balloons. I mean, how stupid. I mean, they're literally sitting there telling you that they're funding initiatives. Rashida to leave, you are not the solution to this issue, destroying industry, unless, of course, creating more inflation and more poverty doesn't solve the problem. Using capital to fund industry so that they continue to innovate and create more technology that brings us to a cleaner future is the solution. These people are literally giving you the answer. They're sitting down, and they're saying, look, we're funding all kinds of different projects. We're funding energy companies and their new initiatives to reduce carbon emissions. And you're sitting there telling them no, it's not enough and that their bank should be boycotted. And the only answer is your draconian solution of cutting off energy funding as a whole. How does that make any sense at all? How are you supposed to fund innovation and new technologies by destroying the energy sector, which isn't just a massive portion, a massive chunk of the world economy, but it's also the engine that allows everything else to run? Here's a very simple fact. 20 years ago, emissions in the United States and in Europe are much higher than they were today. They continuously are going down. You know why that is? Because energy companies and new technology companies are receiving funding to do research and create innovation within the energy sector that's making it more clean. Therefore, we have a whole lot less emissions than places like China. In other words, the United States and other Western nations are carrying the load through free market capitalism through financial institutions, funding energy companies. But obviously, you can't see that if you have this reductive view of billionaires bad in corporations, bad everybody, but me is evil. And it's just trying to make a quick buck. And this brings me right back to the point that I'm always trying to make. And I think the point that I said in the intro, these left droids don't know how to solve problems, they only know how to create them. I mean, we've seen Joe Biden's energy initiatives, his cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, and his refusal to sign off on new drilling permits on federal land. We've seen the effects that it's had on the economy, on inflation, on the middle class, on the lower class. And now you're essentially arguing that we need more of that. It's completely and utterly insane. And it's the same thing that we see across the board from all of these leftist bozo leaders, Justin Trudeau, and I believe it's the Liberal government within the Netherlands. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But there's a European nation and, of course, Canada that are now imposing strict regulations on the use of fertilizers because environment or something, and they're pretending as if this is a massive win for the world and for the environment. But it's completely stupid, because first of all, we have supply chain issues and food shortages due to global instability. And without the use of fertilizers, modern countries can't even feed their own people. Not to mention, it doesn't solve the problem, because all it's going to do is create a gap in the market, which then other countries are going to fill. But of course, most of these other countries that are doing farming don't have the same regulations and ethical practices and are actually going to pollute a whole lot more using chemical fertilizers. Within the Western world, fertilizer use has become a very highly regulated complex science that actually doesn't pollute that much through regulation and free market capitalism. Ethical farming systems have been created that produce way less chemical fertilizer runoff than normal. We in the Western world are farming ethically. And now we have these ridiculous left-wing governments that are getting in the way of modern industry that's leading the world in ethical farming, unethical oil production, throwing a wrench in the work that we're doing here, pretending as if they're solving a problem, but all we're doing now is sending the work to other nations and many dictatorship that couldn't care less about the environment or pollution or carbon emissions. This idea that capitalism is evil, and that us in the West are evil and we're the source of all of these problems is completely ridiculous. Look at all of the data when it comes to pollution and ethical business practices in general. We are leading the world, and the idea that we should have these government cronies standing in the way as we continue to innovate and make the world a better place is frankly moronic. And the people who are supporting squad members like Rashida Tlaib and AOC and people like Justin Trudeau, and whatever left-wing leaders in the European Union, these individuals who continue to stand in the way of innovation and industry and continue to screw everything up with their ridiculous ideologies, people who are supporting that and supporting those people, or just not paying attention to the very simple and obvious right in your face facts. You are not the solution, you are the problem. You're getting in the way of the clear solution. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. I'll be back soon with another report. God speak to each and every one of you. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all of your kind words. I'll be back.